Honest to God, I hope not, but I don't think we'll use the full hour today. Governance, real quick intentions and distractions. My intention is to go through the agenda, talk about Give once again, and get votes stuff. Distractions is just lots of different meetings today. And I'll pass it on to Griff.
I just wrote it in the chat. The thing to add to the agenda is time zones, man. It's that time again where where our calendar's all fucked up next week. So we definitely should just check to make sure the timing of meetings and all of that. And because my calendar's just all messed up already. And then other one is, I guess debating that hackathon thing a little bit more. I didn't make a forum post, but I can try tonight to just like put the thoughts in there. But that's the only that we talked about in the DevConnect call. And that's it for me. Let's see what's the other things. Distractions. I'm still moving upstairs, and the bird is roaming, so watch out. He might be beeping. I'll pass it over to Serbi.
Thank you. Intention is just to go through the agenda. I have read all the forum posts that Mitch sent across. There's no distraction. I am just very hungry, and immediately post the call, I'll have dinner. I will pass it on to Danny.
Awesome. Thank you, Serbi. Okay, let's see. My intentions are A, participate in all the other topics, B, to champion making sure everybody has given me information and knows where to get information for the Istanbul trip, and participate in everything else, but I probably said that. So my distractions are that I'm in a part of the world that I forgot. I'm cold and sniffly, and I miss the jungle. So that's it. I'll pass it to Jake.
Thanks, Danny. Intentions, just listen to the Mitch show. I think I'm pretty caught up on the forum. So whatever jokes he's got for us today. And distractions, always kind of doing things after one-on-ones with Griff. Let me pass it to Ashley.
Thanks, Jake. My intentions for this call are to sync up and stream. Also, maybe just check in because I would like to put up givebacks votes today, but I want to kind of like check in on what the new process is going to be with that because I think the tokens didn't quite get minted yet. So I just want to see how that's going to work. And I think that's really all my agenda items. My distractions are just, trying to make sure everything's good to go when I start my vacation tomorrow. And yeah, I will pass it to Franco.
Thanks, Ash. Intentions for the call, just thinking, see what's going on in the forum. I'm currently voting on the DAO Ops Season 2 proposal. And get up to date with votes and distractions, just messages from people that want to stay in the house. All of a sudden, everybody wants to come. And I'll pass it to Alman.
Thanks, Franco. Intentions to go through the agenda again, listen to the updates regarding Istanbul that Danny and Griff were mentioning to see what's the discussion looking around that. And distractions, making some breakfast right now. And I'll pass it to Frishelle.
And ask about how to process the reimbursement for the Give tokens part with all the changes. And distraction, working in the background on RetroPG apps. So I'll pass it to Santi.
Thank you, Frishelle. Intentions just to go over everything related to governance, especially the the Istanbul retreat and the hackathon. I've joined the
Hi, sorry. Okay, I'm just here to sync and see what's going on here, and no distraction. I don't know. Or should pass it to Almond? Oh no.
I think everybody went.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thanks.
It's all right. It's all right. There's nobody left. There was no right answer, Mo. Cool. Well, great. So there was the thing up here from Griff regarding the hackathon, whatever. And then I don't think there's anything specific I heard around the Give Connect retreat. I think it was just if anyone had any questions. So maybe I'll just add it in there. And Fischel had a thing of like how to do the give reimbursements to Griff. I think that was it. Okay. This is just like some ideas. I think a lot of you have already heard this before. So I'm hoping after this one that in Optimism, this quarterly distribution of RGive, we're going to stop doing that process of this quarterly. Everyone's got to vote on everybody. Everyone's got to post their own vote. Maybe the app works. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I would like to instead do RGive right in like the rewards distributions that the rewards working group does. And I've talked to Franco. So it'd be cool. Just bi-weekly, just RGive is just going out in like small quantities. And we can base that information on people's praise scores. We can pull up data from Karma, looking at your activity in Snapshot in the forum, especially GitHub, and then just, distribute reputation that way. And then we can connect the RGive to our token log and to our snapshot, so that actually like has some weight still in our decision making. And that's kind of the idea of what I want to do with RGive. The other tangent here, which you guys already saw, is like, okay, but the NRGive still has to do with a lot of important stuff, like sending out givebacks and sending out nice tokens. And also, as Fischel mentioned, it still needs to send out, it's still receiving a ton of give from our initial distribution. It's receiving tens of millions of give that has to be sent out somehow. So what I've done is I minted, or I'm proposing, I think it's going to close soon, to mint 1 million give to like a couple, 6 people. Minimum 3 people will then need to vote to send something out, and 1 person can vote no and essentially veto it if anything is like really wrong. And that's kind of it. The idea was like, okay, if this DAO, the NRGive DAO, is only doing things related to the Give economy, then maybe that moves into the Give economy working group rather than the whole DAO. And that was my thought process with just choosing 6 people. It's like I talked to Lauren, I said, which 6 people do you want? And then I just went for it like that. So that's my plan. And maybe I'll stop there before I add more things to it.
I think that'd be super cool. Are we still gonna do some quarter? Would you want to do some quarterly distribution as well?
I just think it takes up a lot of people's time, and I've heard people like complain about it. So it'd be cool, like instead of having a big quarterly thing, it's just kind of going out, and people don't really need to think about it, until they're voting and they're like, oh, cool, I've got all this reputation. It seems like a lot of mental bandwidth for people to do every 3 months.
The actual request, or like, I'm just thinking like if there's a way that we could, there is all this, I don't know, valuable stuff that you're doing for the assessment. Are we just we would just stop all that?
Yeah, because now the contributor lines, I'm hoping, are going to get more blurred, because each working group can have its own people, and it's not like a oh, you're hired, you have a role proposal, and you know, have to meet all these requirements from the whole Giveth DAO, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's just we're doing this for the vesting already, right? So I'm just wondering if there's a way to connect that to some kind of reputation.
Mm-hmm. I think the vesting's going to have to change too. That's my other thought, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
The only thing I would chime in on this, it's always been the goal and the hope that we have integrations and plugins that can identify participation, and there's things we can do along the way to automate it. But we've always come back to the fact that there still needs to be like a hands-on touch at certain intervals that aren't too far apart for us to remember what each other did, or at least validate it and be able to say, yeah, that person's right or not. So that's the only hesitation that I have, is at what point do we feel like it's good to take out that more frequent human evaluation part? Because it sounds like that's what you're proposing.
But you guys do that in the rewards anyway, right? You look at the data, you're like, oh, this is cool, you know? Is that what you guys do every 2 weeks anyway?
Yeah, we do. We're looking at it from we're quantifying praise and we're looking at what praise is, but that's just one thing out of several that you just mentioned that go into this. It's not just that. It's also, right? I mean, praise isn't even really being used for some of this stuff because it was not reliable before we started doing this.
Mm-hmm. But now it is more reliable.
Right. I mean,
do you feel?
Exactly. I do feel it's more reliable, but again, it's just one of the factors. So I'm just kind of taking a look at that. I know I hear from like the technical standpoint that there's a better way to do this. I just want to look at it and make sure. And I haven't put my head fully around it, so I wanted to just chime that in here. Like, don't push it through too fast. Let's make sure all of the reasons we were doing that are answered somewhere else.
Yeah. Maybe just to like get a pulse on everybody here, like, do you guys find value in doing these quarterly like reputation distributions, or do you think it's just like a hassle? You don't understand why you're doing it? I don't know.
You mean the NRGIV?
Yeah, like everyone's got to make their own vote. Everyone's got to vote on their own vote. Do people find value in that? Like, do they?
I mean, I guess I understand it, but I do find more value in like creating this new reputation system where you can get like data from other things and not just this kind of robotic action of every quarter, you know, like create votes, vote for me, and then everybody votes and you just get the votes. You know, it's kind of like, I think like praise and karma, like I think there's more value in that to like create reputation and then like getting this use case in like token log, or I think that's great. I think that's better.
Okay.
It is. It just relies on people noticing what everybody's doing and actually recording it, which is why we've always kind of had this opportunity that used to be monthly and now it's quarterly to just check and make sure we're not missing something. So there's a few different things that it touches. I just don't want to fully automate it and do away with people participating in the system. So that's part of the governance, is where do people participate?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I hear your point. Okay, well, we got time. We're gonna finish this one up. We got 3 months. We could do it again if we want, but I really don't want to. That's my thing. Okay. Anything else? Comments from other people on this one? NRGIV, reputation. The cool thing that I didn't talk about in the NRGIV is soon TM, I'm working on it, is we'll be able to actually send out givebacks on multiple chains by just voting on the Optimism DAO. So it's almost done. I'm doing some stuff with Connext and Nuggin's helping me. So it'll be like, hopefully we never have to use that Aragon that Gnosis Chain Aragon DAO again, and we could just do everything by voting somewhere else, and then it all gets done on other chains. So that's almost done, but I don't want to hold up the whole give back system.
That's cool. So it gets distributed from one place. Now can those of us receiving it have one place to pull them all together?
That would be awesome, huh?
Yeah, that's really great
Okay.
news. That's really awesome, Mitch. Thanks. So just to check in on this current round, like what's the best way to move forward to get them distributed this round? Do we already burn people's tokens?
No, because the vote wasn't executed. So regarding your givebacks vote, we'll have to rally people to vote enough to pass that givebacks vote,
Okay.
which is fine because we can do it through EVM CRISPR, but yeah.
So should I go ahead and put up the nice votes then as well? Because I just kind of put it when I talked to you this morning after what you
Yes.
said, I just like put it all on hold. So I'll go ahead and finish up putting up the nice votes.
Okay.
And then hopefully by the end of this call, it'll be ready.
Because then we can just make one script and then people can just click and vote on all 3 or 4. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to move down to this hackathon one. I think this is you, Griff. You're muted.
Thanks. So the basic concept is bear market. We got to find ways to collect an income off of our work. We got to be more efficient with how we spend our money. And, I think the general concept is there is a lot of side benefits of working at Giveth that aren't explicit in the paycheck, right? Like the Golem airdrop, for instance. We told everyone, go vote on Snapshot, and then everyone got a few $100s from Golem, And, or there's like side gigs where you can take some side gigs here and there because you're, in this community and then you get this other job or whatever that you do on the side. And that's all cool. Like, I'm not saying that's so bad. But I do think that in more of a corporate situation, like those kinds of incomes are almost taken 100% by a lot of people, by a lot of corporations. And that's because they're in it to make money, And so when they pay you to do stuff, they're like, any benefits go to the corporation. They don't go to you as an individual. I don't think that we should try to tax people's airdrops or anything like that, because it's just the accounting overhead is not even worth it. But I do think that, like, for instance, I bet Mitch gets a big airdrop for being an Optimism delegate. He should keep that. But it really is like, I think a lot of organizations would actually request that be taken from them, because in the end, we're paying Mitch's salary to do these things, as a full-time employee. One thing that I do think that we should consider doing, though, is for trying to get everyone to participate in the hackathon. And in the hackathon,
The hackathon's already closed. It's already closed. You can't apply for the hackathon.
You can't apply anymore?
Yeah, I think we can.
They told me that the applications were closed. Like, you can't stake any more Ether. It's until
if
November
you-
1st.
If you register with another email, you can still have time to stake.
Yeah, I was just looking today, and it looks like it's until November.
Oh, really?
1st.
Okay. Oh, because Cherik was having trouble, and I thought it was already.
So we're bringing everyone into the hackathon to Turkey, and we're paying for the lodging 100%. We're subsidizing airfare, and so I think it's fair that any winnings from the hackathon are split with Giveth. Not 100%, but I do know know a lot of corporations would actually say we're taking 100 because we're paying for subsidizing lodging and subsidizing, airfare. That 33% of the hackathon winnings by any individual, if you work for Giveth, they go to Giveth, 33% of your individual split. And if you work for General Magic, then 33% would go to General Magic.
I mean, this kind of sucks because I signed up to do the hackathon and everything, and I'm excited, but now it feels like work. Now it feels like I'm working. I'm just like, I'm going to do my hackathon. I'm going to get a couple $100, maybe $1,000, and Giveth is going to get a few hundred of that. And if you go big, like you've invited all of these people, and then it's like, oh, we can't afford it, so we need like your hackathon earnings. It's like, well, that just feels like shit for me.
I'll jump in kind of. I mean, this one's a tough one. Like on a lot of our job boards, when we post a position for Giveth or General Magic, we do list like our yearly retreat as a benefit. So if we're kind of listing it as the benefit, it's kind of tough to say, well, we need to take some away from that benefit since it is kind of one of the few benefits that's listed besides salary. So that's just my thought about this retreat and hackathon itself, this specific one.
Yeah, it feels, excuse me, it feels like very last minute, A lot of us were already planning on coming. We were told some things, and then now all of a sudden it's like, okay, surprise, you have to like participate in this event, and then if you don't participate, we don't subsidize, and then I don't know. It just feels weird. It would have been nice to know like before we bought airfare and things like that.
I think people are confused because Griff said something the last calls, and people are asking, like, is the hackathon mandatory? Which I don't think that's what you said. And people will still get reimbursed even if they don't hack.
Yeah.
That was a big...
I mean, I think we should encourage the hackathon because, our retreat is the first week. And then we're paying 2 weeks of lodging, So the reason that we're paying the second week is so that people can co-work together and all this stuff. And then there's this hackathon, and I think we should encourage people to participate in the hackathon. It's not mandatory. But I do think that it will be a really fun thing to do. And, it's also a great way to help Giveth in this bear market, because the fact is there's the metagame here is that Giveth's not really in the greatest place to spend $50K on a retreat. We're just not. I mean, there's an opportunity for us to meet the team in the Middle East, and I think that that's worth taking. And like the coordination benefits are there. But as someone focused on the business side, like we got to find ways to support Giveth. And, that takes everyone like working to find income streams for Giveth. In the hackathon, there's $600,000. It's a good income stream for Giveth. And I think that is, we should take that as an opportunity. And it's not like we're trying to take 100%. I'm proposing 33%.
I'm curious if the hours spent during the hackathon are then considered working hours.
Well, a lot of people are full time, so there isn't like really work. The hours are the hours. So
yeah, if you're on salary, it doesn't matter, but. And then it would apply unfairly to people who are on an hourly or a salary, I don't like this because it was like last minute pushed on me. I'm already like had my team, had my plan, everything, and I don't know. It's just like, why does this hackathon need to be part of my work, or my work part of my hackathon? And I get the thing. It's like Go ahead, Monique. Actually, just talk.
So, in my point of view, it's fair because it's not that amount of the percentages. So we have our, incentives, and we get paid for the working hours. At least for me, that is, a full-time participant, it's totally fair. And I see it also as a kind of, opportunity. And even I think that, encouraging is not enough. We should make it a little bit, more mandatory, at least for, full-time persons. The problem here is that the blockers that we have for, forming the teams, we only have 2 backend developers, and one of them get back sooner. The Colombian guys get back sooner, and I'm just getting pinged by lots of people to team up, but I'm constantly seeking for devs, and I have the front end devs, but the back end is, even with the not going to be the GM, all the GM team are I talk with them, but sometimes they're not want to do that. And so I think that if it's the plan, let's encourage them more, or at least try to spend, like what we do with the Dev Connect. We have at least the meetings or something that we can team up about the ideas alongside the Giveth. I just want to share my point of view.
Yeah. Well, I know you don't have to have all Giveth people in your team. So I want to throw that out there, that we can, if we have shortcomings, we can recruit other team members. It's more of an individual basis. And, at the end of the GM call today, that we have like a weekly sync call, Marco put something really nice there, which is, don't ask what GM can do for you. Ask what you can do for GM. And the fact is, we're in a tight spot. And if you refuse to, be part of this winning opportunity, it's not like it feels ungrateful. It straight up feels ungrateful, Like, you got free lodging for an extra week to be at this hackathon. We're going to pay for a bunch of meals. We're going to subsidize lodging. And we're asking for 33% of your winnings to help subsidize the cost of the retreat. I don't think it's that big of a deal. And it's kind of hurtful that this is all of a sudden like such a big deal,
Sorry, Mitch, you were about to go.
No, go ahead, Sorbi.
So I just wanted to share my opinion and my experience from a lot of the organizations that I have worked for. So honestly, this is great that in a DAO we are even having this discussion. But in all my previous companies and organizations, when they participate in any competition or hackathon for that matter, so what has always been the case at 100% really belonged to the company, and the premise and the reason for that was that when you are out on a company visit, you're representing the company, and even during the hackathon or any competition for that matter, you're basically representing the company. So it used to be 100% going to the company. So I think 33% seems something which is like very generous, but I'm also not very sure of how things really have been in the past, so I will just refrain from that. But honestly, I mean, it seems like really fair. Because we're out there, we are of course like on Giveth's or everything with, and it just the hackathon, it should come to Giveth. What Griff is proposing, 33%, it seems like something which is very reasonable. So just wanted to put it out there, my experience from different organizations. So yeah,
I think everyone has a different point of view, and all of them are valid from my personal perspective. I tend to think that maybe putting a number may not be the best approach. I would leave it. I understand completely what Griff exposes, and I understand those who've already applied for the hackathon. not even knowing about this new info that we've brought into the table. But I think just leaving it open would be much reasonable. Just you guys know that we're making an effort, we're paying for lodging. We would love if you can give back something if you end up, getting some prizes.
Yeah, thanks, Santi. I'll just say that it feels like the way that we do it when people donate to a project on Giveth, and the default is give at this percentage. You can uncheck that and opt out for your own reasons. You can choose to give more. You can choose to give less. I do it different every time. But it's interesting to me that this is being presented now as something that we want to, and I'll use the word mandatory here because it's reflecting me back to the conversation about Clockify, where we're making a decision if we're going to mandate something for everybody. And I think part of decentralization is that we have the opportunity to transparently opt out or register an objection or give more and be more supportive if we want to. I think it's probably a more encouraging environment. As we saw before, when we come down with something that's mandatory, it creates these resistance, which is good to look at the tension and come up with the best solution that feels good for us all and is potentially even more generative for that.
I mean, if I make a hackathon, if myself, Cherika Mohammed, make a hackathon project and we win 15K, of course. But it's like, if we hack and we get $1,000 from a grant and then like we give a couple $100 to Giveth, it's like the impact versus like the sentiment of like having to give part of that winnings away. And I'm sure whatever we do, we're going to work our ass off, but it's like the context. It's like, oh, we got a couple $100 each. And we had to give, I don't know.
For me, the sentiment can be reframed as, "Hey, we're going to try, but we're going to try really hard to get something for Giveth this weekend. Let's do it, guys! High five!" And that's the sentiment I would like to encourage, and that's the opportunity that I honestly feel like for some people might even encourage them to want to hack more because there's like something bigger than just their own interest.
But that's the only reason I joined is like I want to learn and I want to build something that I'm interested in that's not related to Giveth at all, and maybe win some money. But for me, it's about learning and having my own experience, And so it's like, oh, now Giveth is like a thing that like I have to like add, up here. And it sounds like at this point, based on everyone's comments, like
I think
so it's like, is this just
I think Mo and Serbia are definitely trying to hack. Well, Nick, I mean.
Yeah,
And
we
I
already team up with Romin, Mo, at least these 2% approved, and I'm looking for other, backing a smart contract though.
Yeah, I actually joined the hackathon, but I'm the designer. Might be better to team up with someone else. Yeah.
Can we put anything else in here?
I would say that I would offer that it doesn't have to be mandatory and create an opt-out policy of just like, if you pay for your second half of the lodging and one of your plane tickets, then like the full amount of one of your plane tickets, then you don't have to donate 33% of your hackathon winnings. Like if it's that oppressive, it's like then if you don't want to play that game, then we don't pay for you to be there that second week, and and we don't subsidize your flight. People are only staying there for the first week.
Okay, anything else? You're gonna write this up somewhere? I heard.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I'm putting it in the forum, and I'll put up a poll. And I mean, if really no one supports this, I mean, I'm not going to push it through. But I think that there is a lot of support actually for it. So
There's
At a minimum, we're definitely laying the groundwork for how to approach this in the future.
And I mean, if
there's
we
a bunch of.
I was
Go ahead,
just
Jake.
going to quickly say, I mean, that's kind of how we operate a little bit with like ETH Denver, etc. Like you have to work the booth, kind of you do have to put in some mandatory stuff if it's reimbursed like that. So the hackathon portion, making something a little bit more mandatory is
Not
understandable.
everyone can participate.
But is it the hackathon itself?
So it's just selectively a few people. Like everyone can work at a booth, But the hackathon, it doesn't apply to everybody equally, And some people want to hack, but they don't know how to code or they're only good at presenting. Sorry. So these things make a difference,
Yeah, that's why I was saying that some piece of mandatory, not so much maybe the actual hackathon itself, but something.
I do think everyone can hack. And every team needs a presenter, someone to do the slides, someone to do the networking, to find out, do some research. Everyone can hack. You need 2 devs, but everyone can hack.
I feel like I want to follow up that with just something to hit me pretty hard in hearing that statement, because we all have different skills that we bring to various different components. And some of us can't do the tweets and can't do the coding and various different pieces. But it takes all of us showing up with the piece that we do have to say, I'm the one who can help the team in this way at this time. So just kind of putting that into context, I guess, that there's a lot of folks who would love to be able to help in the ways that their skills suit. And there's all of these different opportunities and ways that you can do your piece. And it takes all of us to be able to keep Giveth going forward in the direction that we're going to align on.
Okay, anything
after
else about this
retreat.
hackathon? Okay. There's this, Danny, you put some stuff about meal planning in here. We also have a Dev Connect call this week as well, no?
We do. We have it on Wednesday morning, and the challenge is I got to give some numbers to finalize the restaurant this morning. So I have to make some judgment calls, which means I'd really like some reflection from you guys to tell me if I'm making it up wrong. Because in some ways we just have to make it up, and that's what's going to happen. So breakfast every day is what we talked about up front for the whole 2 weeks. I really want us to think about that before I say yes, Giveth is gonna pay, because we have to give exact numbers. And if I say we're gonna have 30 people eating breakfast and only 5 show up, we're still paying for 30 breakfasts. And I want to do that. So I just want to double check some of our assumptions here while I have all of you guys who are like planning and budget governance people looking at it with me. So breakfast every day, yes or no? Is there anybody who's like, after further consideration, maybe we don't want to have the restaurant and the breakfast together downstairs during Dev Connect week and only during the retreat? Because getting the numbers, I know we're all there, but I don't know we're all going to actually get up in the morning and go down to that restaurant and eat breakfast in the morning.
Is there a way to like take account the night before for who's going to come in the morning? And it's like if you didn't put in your number for the night during the night before, then like that you don't get breakfast in the morning. we could maybe mitigate some costs that way.
I can do that. I can do that with some other places, but reserving the restaurant entirely and having the staff comes in has at least a minimum number, because we've been operating on the fact that we're about 50 people here. If I come back and I say 30, we might still be able to do it. But if I'm coming back and saying it's only 10 or 20 the night before, they're not going to be happy, and we'll end up paying for that. So in some ways, there's just a couple of these numbers that I need to get to decide, is it worth reserving the restaurant underneath the hotel for the morning, for example? Because we can do that with other places. There's plenty of other places we can order catering from a day or two in advance, is what I'm hearing from people on the ground. And again, remember, everything I can share is intermediated and translated.
And can we eat in the restaurant area, or where there's tables and stuff, even if it's not their food?
You know what? I don't know that it's open every morning, and I think it is, but I didn't get that answer. Yeah,
They have kitchens in the suites, no?
Yeah,
we do. We have kitchens in our suites, so it's not like anybody's. But so then people buy their groceries, and then we have to say we're gonna reimburse up to a certain amount. So that's my other question. So
I think that's too much work, and food is pretty cheap in Turkey. I think it makes sense not to do breakfast during DevConnect, because there's such a weird. Some people won't be eating breakfast, and we all have kitchens.
Yeah, we're all going to be getting up to run the talks, right? Like, there's things that we're going to be going to.
Go ahead, Monique.
Yeah, I don't see us taking that time.
I think breakfast is included in the price of the accommodation. So maybe we can talk with them if we want to continue with the breakfast. And I think that okay, so
that is something I never heard before, Monique, that breakfast is included. So if Sanaz knows that and shared it with you, that did not get translated to me.
Okay, let me just confirm with her. And about the time that we use the restaurants has a time limit. I think they said that for breakfast until 12 a.m. We can serve, and after that they clean up. We can have our meetings there, but not sure. But let's confirm if it's done as Danny said. Yes.
Nick, I would love to have a call with you and Sanaz if we can do that after this, because I just want to make sure that I'm hearing everything correct and making these decisions on that. From this group, the other question I just wanted to check in on is for the retreat. If we're going out so Monday and Tuesday, those are our days we're going to have all 3 meals together. But Wednesday and Thursday, we have afternoon outings. So planning a dinner together where we come all back together and have a full day on Friday, that feels like something important that I want to ask us to commit to. Like Friday, the last day of the actual retreat, that we all spend that day and share our meals together. So I just want to check here if there's anyone who has substantial objection to doing that.
No. I mean, as long as we can get the food preferences accommodated, then we should try to avoid making people make their own food on the days of the retreat, because it takes people away. So we just need to make sure that food preferences can be accommodated.
Yeah, everybody says they can accommodate the food preferences. It's just sad because you'll have a very different plate of food other than Turkish food. But that's the way it works. Yeah. Okay, that's really the main questions that I just wanted to confirm, because I need to give these numbers today. So Monique, if you and I can take a look at that quickly before I send it to Sanaz and we make sure we have the correct information, that would be really helpful. And I guess I'm saying Sanaz because that's what her name shows up in, but I don't actually know her correct name.
Sanas. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Franco, were you going to say something? I saw you.
No, yeah, I was just like gonna share like because of the messages with Sanaz. I think that Monique is right, and like the breakfast is included, and what she was trying to get was the numbers for lunch and dinner. So I'm like, I got the impression like Monique, like breakfast was included. Just wanted to add that.
That's cool. That's great. Okay. Do you need something else from us here, Danny?
Only just stay tuned. Please stay tuned to the forum and chime in your questions there and answer as we go along. And just keep an eye on there if things come up. As we get closer, I realize there's a lot of questions about travel to Turkey and things right now. So I guess the other big thing is if you haven't bought your ticket, please do so that I have the right number of rooms available on the right dates. As people buy their tickets, they're changing the day that they arrive, and that changes the room reservations.
Okay. All right. Well, then we've got a Dev Connect call later this week. So just a reminder to show up to that call if you've got any of the related questions. There's 8 minutes left, and still there's a few things, mostly voting things, that I wanted to discuss or just remind you. We did use the full hour. I was quite surprised. There's a snapshot vote up right now for the DAO Ops proposal. So that's going to be open for another 3 days. That's closing on the 26th of October. We barely made quorum, so woohoo! But please just take a few minutes, check out the proposal, make sure you vote in the snapshot using your Give tokens. And that's it. Any questions around the snapshot or the proposal or anything? Okay. Okay. And the other thing was there's a couple votes open. Let's see here. There's a few more. It looks like Algene, Carlos, Nico, and Santi all have votes up there in the Aragon. So just make sure that, when you're posting your vote, you have a link to where it is. Because again, unfortunately, we don't have any descriptions on here. So yeah, a few of those votes are open, and I need to check when that's going to be closing. Probably in the next 2 weeks, I have to guess, but just so you're aware of that. And then Ashley, you put up, I have to do that later, but Ashley put up the givebacks votes on the old Aragon DAO. So I have to give you guys a nice link that you can click, and it does everything automatically since that Aragon DAO is not working. Was there something else, or did I miss something, Ashley? Okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay. And nothing in the Give Garden. There's no save votes. A few minutes left. Anything else we need to talk about? Okay. All right. Well, then let's call it there. Thank you all for coming to the